Welcome to Market Share Masterclass, where we share short, tactical, and unfiltered retail wins. I'm your host, Lyden Foust, and each week I sit down with brand builders to uncover the exact strategies they use to grow market share. This series is powered by Spatial.ai, the retail insight platform that helps you target your top customer segments and track brand momentum through millions of credit card transactions. Learn more at Spatial.ai. And today, I am joined by Tony Tsonis, the Senior Director of Digital Marketing at Pet Paradise. And Tony, I met you through our partner, Unicast. Tony has spent 15 years leading marketing for big names that you've heard of, like Hilton and Spectrum Reach. And now he's helping Pet Paradise grow into one of the top names in pet care. And he's also been sharing some pretty smart takes on LinkedIn recently. So, Tony, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Yeah, it's great to be here.
So, for our listeners who maybe haven't heard of Pet Paradise, can you tell us a little bit about what you guys do?
Yeah, sure. So we have 62 locations across North America, in the U.S., starting out in the kind of Carolinas in the east, all the way out to Phoenix in the west. And we provide pet care services for dogs and cats. So those services include boarding, day camp, which is like doggy daycare, grooming, veterinary care, and we also recently have introduced dog training as well.
So, what have you seen? You started at what? How many units did you guys have when you started?
So we were at about 46 when I came on. So we've grown by about a quarter, about 25%, since I joined the business at the end of 2021. And now we're at 62 locations providing our core services. And then we have over 20 veterinary clinics within our system as well.
Is 46 to 62 marketing for that much? Is it different, or is it pretty much once you hit that level of scale, it's there's some efficiency there?
I think it's gotten a little more challenging as we've continued to grow. One thing about this business is that I would say there's a long tail of kind of mom and pop type providers in this space. And so competing with those folks tends to make your business very localized. And so
Sure.
as you grow and you add all of these additional locations, you still have, you have that localized component. And so it tends to create some unique challenges that way.
Yeah, cool. Well, let's get into this. So, what in your mind, Tony, and I've seen you share a lot of opinions on LinkedIn, which I've loved. What would you say is key to growing market share today?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things we're focused on is reducing friction. We're currently partnered with Salesforce for CRM, and love the people that we interact with at Salesforce, but it's a challenging product for a company of our size to use and to utilize. And so we've recently made the shift over to HubSpot. And what we're excited about there is the ability to really connect all of our different touch points in one key software piece in our MarTech stack and be able to really reduce that friction and be able to talk to customers across different channels, be able to personalize our outreach, our messaging to our customer base, and combine all that into one kind of unified profile with the customer. And so, reducing that friction, delivering a very kind of unified experience, regardless of what the channel is, whether it's our website, mobile app, email, social, that's really key for us so that we can talk to consumers and talk to our existing customers, whatever screen they may be on.
So you got HubSpot, that's that standard hub where you're connecting all your customer data into. What would be an example of that unified experience? So would it be someone that has both interacted with your veterinary practice and your pet paradise, like the hotel piece of it? Or is it like, contacting someone that hasn't visited in a while? What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, it's really both. So what we're excited about with HubSpot is kind of both of the things that you were just describing. So first is that ability to cross-sell our services. So with those 4 or 5 kind of key services, we have a lot of folks that come in and they may be primarily boarding customers. And we want to expose them to all the great value that we can provide to them and to their pets with our camp services as well, or with our veterinary care, or with the grooming we provide. And so being able to cross sell based on the usage of other services or different preferences that the customer may have, that's really key for us. And a tool like HubSpot makes that process easier. We've done a lot of this with Salesforce already. The challenge for us with Salesforce is that it really requires a lot of third-party support. It's just not quite as nimble. And so we're excited about partnering with HubSpot, being able to kind of use the AI tools that they've got integrated into their platform as a way to be more nimble marketers and be able to put the
Yeah.
right message in front of a consumer.
Does that message, what do you find is the best medium for that? Does that come out best in an email, or you try and text as well?
Yeah, so that's the other key piece of this is we've been primarily an email marketing company in how we use that channel. We're excited to utilize our mobile app more effectively than we have in the past as well.
Okay,
So
yeah.
HubSpot makes that a lot easier. So we're excited about sending, even more push notifications than what we've done today, using in-app messaging more readily than we have today. We're excited to really lean into different ways that we can put, that right offer in front of the right consumer at the right time.
Yeah, and I think in the absence of expanding locations, the best way you're going to get a bang for your buck is increase LTV, and the best way to increase LTV is sell more things to more people, and you can't do that if you you don't know you have a unified experience on where what they have bought and what they're most likely to buy. Well, cool. What's one move that your team has made that directly led to a jump in market share?
Yeah, so we took a bold move this year, and we actually began testing in this space last year, and we expanded it this year. But we've really increased the amount of awareness media that we buy through some of our partner media networks as well. And so, what that's done for us is it's grown the conversion rate of our new customer profiles into our actual new paying customers pretty substantially on a year over year basis. So we've grown that by about 8% year over year, strictly by spending more of our media dollars at that awareness level. And there's a real strong reason for that. The reason is that this business, you mentioned a hotel earlier, and I've spent a number of years in the hotel space. It looks like a hotel, but customers don't think about it like a hotel. They think about it
Huh.
almost similar to your child's daycare. They really need to have a great deal of trust in your business before they're willing to bring what they consider to be their baby or their child. Before they consider bringing that pet to us for care, they really have to feel like they, in a way, know us, that they trust us. And so increasing that awareness media investment gives us more of an ability to kind of tell that story about, how we're pet people. Like that's, one of our kind of key brand themes, and that they can bring their pet to us, and that it's a place that they can leave their pet with us and really trust that they're going to receive excellent care.
That is such a human thing, and it makes so much psychological sense because it's usually like higher ticket value is the more painful it is for me to part with my money. But we're not necessarily talking about that. We are talking about me parting with my pet who I care about the health of. And the high ticket value isn't nothing either. It's not like you're going to Five Below or something. So it's a relatively high ticket value for the customer as well as it is like an emotional thing. It's not like a throwaway hotel trip. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's very easy to kind of conflate what we're offering with the other services that are sort of that go along with travel, whether it's like a rental car or a hotel stay or all of those different things you might book when you take a trip somewhere. Even though we are booking trends align strongly with those travel patterns, people make their decision about who they use in our space based on different criteria than just rate or occupancy or what's available from a vacancy perspective.
Yeah, because you also have the competitive like leave my pet with my friend.
That's
That
right.
just doesn't have a corollary.
That's right. I mean, there's a number of competitors that are in our space that also kind of work as a stand-in for that. So, there are folks like
Facilitate that.
Rover who, deliver that kind of service at scale. And so, not only do we have kind of the brick and mortar competitors, but we also have these folks in the digital space like Rover that we have to kind of think about and work to compete with as well.
When you say awareness, where does that actually come out? Is that coming out in programmatic? Is that coming out in Facebook? Where is the awareness type ads coming out?
Yeah, so we're heavy in video. We really believe that the story we have to tell is best expressed in video format. We want you to see us interacting with pets. And so if you look at our creative, a lot of it shows not only, our beautiful facilities, also shows our people. And we're big believers in using employees that actually work for the company in our creative so that you get a real sense of kind of what that experience is going to be like for you and your pet. So video is big for us, and we distribute that across a number of different channels, whether it is programmatic, so across different video networks. We've purchased a lot of ads across connected TV. So players like Amazon are a big part of our mix. And then we also buy a lot of video on social networks like YouTube and Meta as well.
Okay. How does the video in Facebook or Meta show up differently than YouTube? How do people interact with do they expect a different format, or do you see different results with the same creative on that?
You see slightly different types of engagement. So I think with YouTube, we really look at that as similar to our plays on connected TV. We're looking for, reach and frequency. We're looking for impressions with our target audience. What we see in Meta is a little different. So there, it's more of an engagement medium. So we tend to see people that are either then clicking through a link to visit our website, take advantage of our first time customer promotions, that kind of thing. So there's a little bit more on the engagement side happening when it comes to the Meta platforms, more kind of traditional reach, frequency, impressions when it comes to the other
Yeah.
ones.
And when you say 8% lift in sales, that's great, especially when you have a 62 unit brand that you're working with. How did you determine that? Is it just like you just literally looked at new customer acquisition and you lifted all your sales, but all your new customers added that additional 8% lift? Is that what we're talking about?
Right. So what we've seen, this year, as opposed to last year, is we've seen an 8% growth in conversion. So 8% more of the leads that we bring in, and I describe leads as these kind of new customer accounts. So someone who's signed up with us, but they haven't transacted yet. 8% more of those folks are now transacting with us year over year. So that's a big lift for us. I mean, over the
Sure.
last 4 years that I've been with the company, when we see conversion kind of move a point here, a point there, it's pretty consistent. We really see it in a big way this year. And we not only see it in, kind of that bottom of the line KPI, we also see it in engagement on our website as well. So we're seeing longer time on site. We're seeing a lower bounce rate. We're seeing more visits to the pages within our site that are kind of in our booking funnel. There's a more intentional customer coming to our site, and then there is higher conversion resulting from that.
And you think that's because of the video and the trust element? Is it really the creative in the video? Do you feel like it's driving that?
I think so. That's really been the biggest variable where we've seen a big difference. So we've had our media broken up into different geographic regions. And so we have geographic regions where we're not really running as much awareness investment. And we've seen just kind of minimal changes in conversion rate in those groups. Where we've made our big bets on awareness is where we've seen the lift in conversion happening. So we kind of have
Yeah.
some not perfect A/B testing going on because there's some differences when it comes to regions and how those regions perform. But it's enough that we're confident that awareness is really what's driving that lift.
Yeah, and nobody has perfect A/B testing. I mean, that's about as good as you can get. That's awesome. So what customer insight have you guys had that you would say this actually shifted our growth strategy?
Yeah, I think that the biggest insight, and I shared it just a minute ago, is changing the thinking from hotel to daycare as kind of a corollary, right? It's very easy, like I said, it's very easy for us to think about our business on hotel terms because we have suites, just like a hotel has rooms. We think about revenue per available room, RevPAR, just like a hotel would. So there's a lot of very similar metrics in the business to a hotel. We have spoilage when it comes to the suites that aren't filled, just like a hotel does. Um, but the consumer, again, doesn't think about our business on those terms. And so we've done a lot of research into our consumer to understand kind of what are those driving factors that make them choose our business for camp or for boarding. And time and again, what we're starting to see is that interaction with our people is a huge component of what makes
Yeah.
someone choose our business. And all these things that sort of align to that trust piece that I was describing earlier. There's so many different factors that kind of roll up into that we're really seeing that that is the major insight and the major lever that we need to lean into and pull to continue to grow our market share.
Yeah. I've got a totally separate question, but it's on my mind. I've been thinking about it. So, do you guys feel like you have any demographic tailwinds at your back right now that might be helping? And what I'm thinking about is I've seen the fertility rate go down significantly across our segments as time has gone on. Significantly might not be a lot, but it's going down. And on the other hand, I heard that Seattle has more dogs and children now. I don't know if you've heard that statistic, but do people have more dogs in place of kids? Are you seeing a growth from that?
So I haven't seen that specific statistic, but now I want to run to ChatGPT and learn all about it.
Yeah.
Um, but what we see with our customer base is, and I alluded to this earlier, I'm going to choke on this word, but the anthropomorphization, hopefully I hit that right.
You
Uh,
nailed it. I couldn't have. I know what you're talking about. I'm gonna let you
yeah,
say it. I'm just gonna listen.
we've seen that in a big way with our customer base. They think of their pets as their children. They think of their pets as
Yes.
a lot of times when I read our customer reviews, they don't refer to Fluffy as their pet. They refer to Fluffy as their baby. And that is a very true sentiment from the customer. It's not just a manner of speaking or something like that. It is really how they feel about their pets. And so that's definitely, as you alluded to, some people stop having as many children. Yeah, pets are so in many instances kind of taking that place in people's lives that children used to fill or fill for other people. So yeah, we definitely see that. And that group, a lot of them are, what we would define as young professionals. And that's a segment in Spatial AI, which is a tool that we love. We're leaning heavily now into that young professional audience in a number of our markets because not only do they represent a growing demographic, but they're actually some of our best customers across a number of our locations. And we're well positioned in a lot of kind of major metros, whether it is kind of growing places like Tampa or Austin, where you have a lot of these young professionals in those markets. So we're well positioned with our locations to offer our services to that growing demographic.
Yeah, and as you're talking about that, I'm thinking about because I mean we can see and you can see their spin patterns, and we can see that they're buying plane tickets at higher than national average. And you have two ends, right? So young professionals travel more. You see they spend more on Airbnb, and you have the other end, which you have these like retired boomers spend more, and then people like me that's like I got fourth one coming. Like I don't travel. Are you kidding me? That's absolute hell, you know.
Yeah, I'm actually taking a trip this weekend with my kids, and it's as I was telling somebody earlier today, when you have kids, you don't really vacation, you take trips, and then there's definitely a difference between trip and vacation. But you're exactly right. You mentioned boomers as well. And so what's interesting about our system is a lot of our newer locations are kind of in these large DMAs where young professionals make a lot of sense. But a lot of our system is actually in kind of suburban or exurb type locations, and we tend to see a lot of boomer segments in those locations. So some of our best performing locations are places like St. Augustine, Florida, Ormond Beach, Florida. We have a number of locations in kind of Fort Myers and Naples, and these are locales that are much more heavily kind of boomer segments. And so we're really starting to think differently about like, okay, how do we talk to customers that may be different demographically across our system?
Yeah. So what's one person in your orbit that you'd say is doing cool things in retail right now?
Yeah, so this, I've been thinking about this a lot. There's a couple of people in my orbit that are doing amazing things, but I wanted to share someone that I've been reading about recently, who I'm kind of excited for us to start leaning into some of the stuff that he's working on, and that is Zon Raj. And so Zon is starting to use psychographics and demographics to come up with unique value propositions for retail brands, on a multi-unit location basis. So kind of what he's doing there is proposing that, okay, you've got a location in St. Augustine, Florida, you've got a location in Austin, Texas. Should you be talking to those customers and providing the same value proposition in both of those markets if your demographics and your psychographics are entirely different? So, this is an interesting question that we have to start to think about as we think about, growing the brand is, yes, we have our kind of core offerings. Yes, we need to kind of touch on those key themes like trust that I was talking about, but are there different ways that we need to sort of like massage the value proposition a little bit to better reach these growth markets in these different DMAs?
And that's awesome. So is it Zon, Zon, and then Raj,
Yeah, I
R-A-J?
think it looks like it's spelled Zane, so it's Zainraj, but I believe he pronounces it Zon.
Awesome. Well, cool. Tony, it has been great having you on the podcast. And I'm just so impressed by the customer insight that you had around trust, and then specifically showing your employees interacting with the pets, and then how you translated that to something very technical, which is awareness marketing. And then 8% lift in conversion is incredible. So well done for you, man.
Yeah, thanks. This was great. Really appreciate being here. And as I said, we love Spatial.ai. It's a great tool for us as well. And, really adds a lot to the strategy side of our business.
Cool. Thank you, Tony.